let's talk about UK shows. Obviously, we're here at the press conference for the big Copper Box show, headlined by Charlie Edwards' world title defence against Angel Moreno. I don't think anyone's going to be complaining about the quality of that Saturday night show. Are you disappointed, though, that arguably the biggest names in the Matchroom stable currently, the likes of Kell Brook, Amir Khan, Anthony Joshua, of course, are all having their next fights over in the US? It's been rumoured the same may be true for Callum Smith, Dillian White. So a lot of guys that have made their names on Sky, their next fights over the summer or the spring are going to be on America, obviously still on Sky Sports to watch, but going to be on American time zones in the US.
I'm like, again, Elliot asked me exactly this a couple of weeks ago.
Damn that, Elliot.
And well, look, and he wrote a very balanced piece, I thought, and you know, he put my comments out, and I'll stand by what I said. Look, we've had a fantastic time in Britain over the last few years. Never did we think, and let's not go back over the leisure centre debate, because let's make it very clear that Frank Warren put some very big shows on in big arenas. I think actually Matchroom were the ones that put more of the leisure shows on, and so was probably Frank, Maloney, and Ricky, and you know they were.
I was at most of them, so
exactly, Danny. We both were, and they were filling that, and so it was no attack on Frank Warren, and far from it. I think Frank put on the bigger shows in that period. But there we go. Let's move on from that. There's been a halcyon period in British boxing. Mainly, I believe, from the kickback from the Olympics, from the Froch Groves fight that we put on at Wembley. You know, Eddie did that. Matchroom's decision to go to Wembley with 80,000 people, and that led to a whole load of stadium shows, a massive buzz over here, and obviously a lot of money being generated. DAZN came into the marketplace. The ESPN have come in hugely, and Fox over there, HBO have packed up. It's very competitive in America. There's a lot of money flying around, and the fighters are benefiting. So, you know, you can't stop the fighters going and making money. It's they're the ones that get in the ring, Danny, and take the risks, not you or me. And I think that we have to remember that at all times, that the fighters have their careers and they've got to look after number one. So, saying that, there are going to be fighters that go to America where the money is. We've got to make sure that we've got enough really engaging British talent to keep going at 10 o'clock at night here. And as I said at the beginning of the year, this is an opportunity for the young talent to come through, a big opportunity. It also comes at a time where we've lost David Hay and Tony Bellew and George Groves and James DeGale and many others that have retired. So Amir Khan and Kell Brook probably haven't got many more left. So, you know, it is a transition. Boxing is cyclical, and I think that it's a time at America where the money in big fights may be. But I'm really impressed with the show this Saturday night. You know, Charlie Edwards' world title fight on Sky Sports. We've got Joshua Boazzi, Lawrence Okoli in a great fight. We've got Lewis Ritson. Then next week we're in Liverpool. More of the same. It's another cracking bill. And I think Eddie responded to my disappointment, Sky's disappointment, with February the 3rd at the O2. I thought the Ted Cheeseman show actually on the night ended up a decent show, but beforehand on paper wasn't good enough. And
it's how good it is on paper that encourages people to watch. So it's all important, isn't it?
100%, but it's also the flow you get, and we've had a huge march. You know, we've been week in, week out. You know, I've just come back from Philadelphia where Katie Taylor shone. It was a wonderful night in Philly. Yes, it's in the early hours of the morning, but we got value for money throughout that card. You know, John O'Carroll giving it everything against Tevin Farmer. You know, Gabriel Rosado coming back in that terrific fight with Seletsky. You know, it was a really good night. Katie Taylor, unbelievable, and you know, we should be really applauding her and pushing her onto a pedestal, because she is one of the best fighters in the world, period. And look, you know, I'm just looking down at Shannon Courtney's down there. She's turning over this weekend. You know, this is a huge opportunity for young British talent to come through. Who knows where we're going to be in a year's time? Are we going to be, you know, headlining bills to the likes of Joshua Boazzi and them going for world titles, or Josh Kelly or Joe Cordina? You know, Frank's got a number over on his side, as I said, the likes of Anthony Yard, who may be fighting for world titles, who's talking about Arsenal and various things the other night. And you know, and good luck to them. And Daniel Dubois is going to come through and make a noise in the heavyweight division. They've got some great talent. We can't have every fighter. We can't have every sweet in the jar. But what we've got to do is get a great mix of really good, engaging young talent here, while the older ones, or the more mature ones, or the more experienced ones are making the move to America, because the money at the moment is there. Let's not forget, though, what we've had in the last 3 or 4 years in Britain, what we at Sky have done, what we on Sky Box Office have done, and what Matchroom have done. That shouldn't be forgotten, and it will happen again.
So when you have these meetings with Eddie around the kind of content that you're going to be producing, especially for the rest of this year, I know these guys are going to come through and 2020 is going to be very bright by the looks of things. What are you saying to Eddie about the rest of this year in terms of the fights you want to make or the level of fights you want to make?
I want to make the best fights out there for the fans. There's no question about that. But I don't personally make the fights. That's down to the promoter. That's down to Eddie. He makes the fights. We stay in contact. We're very close. And to be honest, the schedule we're in the middle of at the moment is fantastic. You know, we had Turning Stone the other week with Bivol. We've had Philadelphia. We've got Copper Box. We've got Liverpool next week. We've got then Crolla and Lomachenko. You know, what a terrific opportunity for Anthony Crolla against arguably the best pound for pound fighter in the world. You know, we've then got the O2 show. You know, the very interesting bill with Allen and Brown and Chisora and Josh Kelly in an unbeaten fight. And I think it's really good. And then April the 26th, it's a great show overnight from LA. We've got Canelo Jacobs. I mean, you know, this is fantastic stuff. All leading up, of course, to AJ and Miller on June the 1st. So for me, it's a great period.
I completely agree. But out of those shows you just mentioned, all but one of them take place overseas. The only UK one is the O2 show.
One of them, the Copper Box this weekend.
Oh, that's this weekend, yeah.
And Liverpool next weekend, and then the O2. We've got a next gen probably coming in May as well. You know, so and we'll be looking at another show in May probably too. So yeah, it is important for us to make sure that the standard is kept up on Sky Sports between 7 and 11 on a Saturday night. That's absolutely crucial. But what we want to do on Sky Sports is provide the best boxing, full stop. And to have the likes of Lomachenko and Canelo and Jacobs and AJ and Katie Taylor and all these fighters on Sky Sports, Callum Smith, Kell Brook, it's fantastic. You know, it's really, really good. I wanted the Khan Brook fight. I've been on record a million times saying I want that fight, and we didn't get it. You know, sometimes it just doesn't happen and it doesn't fall like that. Otherwise, you would have had Amir Khan as well.
I guess what a lot of people are saying, especially on social media recently, is that Eddie Hearn's got two paymasters that he needs to please. One is DAZN and one is Sky Sports. At the moment, he seems to be veering, they're saying, more towards DAZN because they're paying him a huge amount of money. How do you kind of contradict that or go against that to make sure that the quality on Sky Sports with Eddie stays high? What do you say to him? Because he can say, well, DAZN are paying me so much money. What do you say to him to encourage the quality bar on Sky to remain high?
Is there any loyalty in boxing? Maybe not. But I'll tell you what, you know, Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearn have been very loyal to Sky, and we've been very loyal to them. You know, we have been a great partnership for a long time. But of course, we're not going to be happy if they don't prioritise us. And that's why we argue. That's why we say to him, I speak to Eddie every day, you know, and 90% of those conversations are very fluid and very, very amicable and great. And occasionally, you know, I say I'm not happy with that, or Barney Francis will say he's not happy with that, or Eddie will say, I know, I understand that, or I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to balance. That's a question you probably should ask Eddie about, you know, where he puts his priorities. But my belief is his priority here is very much with Sky. He knows exactly what we have done for him over the years. He knows that we are the best broadcaster of boxing, period, and the fighters want to be on Sky Sports and on Sky Sports box office. And as I always say, Danny, it's not just about boxing. Sky Sports has a huge range of sports, right? We have the Premier League, the closest title race in years. We have exclusivity on the Formula One. We have the 4 golf majors just coming out of Rory McIlroy's win at the Players. We've got the Masters coming up. We've got the US Open, the US PGA, our Open. We've got cricket. This summer it's unbelievable with the World Cup, the Ashes, both men and women's. It's phenomenal the amount of sport we've got on.
If you name any more, I'm going to charge you.
This is it, Danny. It's not about boxing, so to speak. Of course, I'm the head of boxing and I want to maintain our standards. We've been in it since I started in 1994 and beyond me for over 25 years in this sport, year in, year out. Who else has done that? Who else has survived that? Who else has done it? Other companies have always been in and around it. They've played, they've got in, they've got out. Sky have stayed firmly loyal to boxing. Eddie and Barry are with us. We have a relationship, we have a partnership, we have an ongoing contract, and that's where we are. And for me, there is terrific boxing on Sky this year, and so long may it continue. And we will work extraordinarily hard to make sure that standard is kept up, and the programs on social, on digital, on Sky Sports News, on our entire arsenal, and our availability to viewers, on demand, everything, are as good as they can possibly be. I have a phenomenal team who are experienced in this. They're experienced in the ups and downs of what we've been through. And I suppose let's go back to that first point you made about those leisure centres all those years ago. Boxing, whatever, is in a better place now than it was then, by a million miles. You were around then, I was around then, and we're both here now. Boxing is flying at the moment. It's flying for us, it's flying for Frank, it's flying for DAZN, it's flying for ESPN, Fox and Showtime, and HBO have moved out the door, which is really sad. Boxing's in a great place, and long may it continue, Danny.
I certainly second that, and we thank you for your time. Best of luck on Saturday. We hope for a great show to watch.